वन्दे गुरुपदद्वन्द्वम् अवाङ्मनसगोचरम् रक्तशुक्लप्रभामिश्रम् अतर्क्यम् त्रैपुरम् अहः विशुद्धिज्ञानदेहाय त्रिवेदी दिव्यचक्षुषे श्रेयः प्राप्तिनिमित्ताय नमः सोमार्धधारिणे नमो यामिनीनाथरेखालङ्कृत कुन्तलाम् भवानीं भवसन्तापनिर्वापण सुधानदीम्
Parashurama Kalpa Sutra. Now, just like in the Vedic literature, we have the primary sources and the secondary sources. The primary sources there be the Chaturvedas themselves, and the secondary sources are the sutras, various sutras, the Kalpa Sutras, the Dharma Sutras, the Shilpa Sutras, etc. The prayojana for these sutra granthas is to help us understand, to put it into practice what has been taught in the Mula Grantha. Similarly, here, the Tantra Agama literature, we have two major sutra texts. One is the Parashurama's Kalpa Sutra. The other is not so popular but another important sutra work by name Parananda Sutra. Now, the beauty of Parashurama Kalpa Sutra is that Bhagavān Parashurama has collated the most important information which is required for the sadhana of Tripura Sundari. So, this is an important work in the Sundari Krama. You are aware that there are two kramas. One is the Kali Krama and the other is the Sundari Krama. So, this Parashurama Kalpa Sutra belongs to the Sundari Krama and it is Saula text. Bhagavan starts this work with the first sutra, Athātaḥ, Dīkṣāṃ Vyākhyāsyāmaḥ. Athātaḥ, Dīkṣāṃ Vyākhyāsyāmaḥ. So these are the four constituent words in the sutra. Atha, then, Atha, now, Dīkṣāṃ, the procedure for performing the Diksha, Vyākhyāsyāmaḥ. We shall narrate. This is the Padartha of the sutra. So, going by the general convention to start any work with Mangala Dyotaka Akshara. This Kalpa Sutra also starts with Atha Shabda. Omkara and Atha Shabda. These two Shabdas or these two sounds are supposed to have emerged from the mouth of Lord Brahma himself at the start of the Srishti. Therefore, both are considered to be extremely auspicious. Omkaraha Atha Shabdascha Svavetau Brahmanaha Pura Kantham Bhitva Vinidyatau Tasmat Mangalikau Upau. That is the shloka which describes that Omkara and Atha Shabda. These two had emerged from the mouth of Lord Brahma himself. So Atha Shabda in this context is Mangalikartha, Atha Shabda. Ataha. Ataha denotes Anantaryartha. After. So whenever there is an anantariya, it presupposes that the person who to this work is being taught is equipped with certain qualifications. Otherwise, anantariya will make no sense. In case of Brahma Sutra, clearly the adhikari lakshana has been given. One who is endowed with viveka, vairagya, samadhi shatka sampatti, and mumukshatva. Only he is qualified to listen to this Sharirika Mimamsa or the Brahma Sutra. Similarly, here too, there is a qualification which is expected out of a particular disciple to whom this particular text is being read out or this text is being composed for. We will see the qualification in some time. Dīkṣāṃ. Now, why does Bhagavan start the text by describing Diksha? He could have very well gone ahead with anything else. He could have started with describing the tattvas. He could have started with, straight with the puja procedure and all those things. The reason why Diksha is being presented as the first item for description here is that Diksha denotes the qualification for any person into any upasana, especially the Kaula upasana. So without a Diksha, you are not eligible to know any of these tenets which are being proposed. So Bhagavan starts with Diksha Vid. So until a person is a Dikshita, he is not eligible to perform either japa or puja or any of the upasana connected. Vyākhyāsyāmaḥ. Bhagavan Parashurama addresses in Bahuvachanam. Okay, we shall narrate. This Bahuvachanam is Maryadadhyam. It denotes that the person who is describing is of a very high caliber. And here we are talking about none but Lord Parashurama himself. And he is credited with systematizing the Lalita Krama. So Sundari Sampradaya Pravartaka, Jamadagnya Ramananda. That is how we address. Therefore, it is quite apt that he addresses himself in the plural. In English, how we say, the royal we. So that is the kind of expression he uses. So Athātaḥ, Dīkṣāṃ, Vyākhyāsyāmaḥ. So, what is the anantariya? That's very important. Before that, we should understand how important is this Sundari Krama itself. Or, for that matter, the Mula Granthas from which the Sundari Krama is extracted. That is the Tantra. Because we find many references in other texts where Nindana for Tantras is found. It is considered as Veda Bhakya. And therefore, there is an opinion that the Brahmanas or the Traivarnikas should not engage themselves in any of the Tantriki Prakriya. Because they are already having the Vaidiki Prakriya. So leaving the Vaidiki Prakriya in which they are eligible because of their Upanayana, there is no need for them to adopt the Tantriki Prakriya, or rather, since the Tantriki Prakriya has many amshas which are considered to be Veda Bhakya or Veda Viruddha, a Brahmana or the Traivarnika should not engage himself in the Tantrika Prakriya. So, there are certain references in some Puranas and in texts like Sutta Samhita where we come across certain shlokas to this effect. But we have to understand one thing clearly. Our Puranas should not be read in isolation. To understand Puranas and to interpret Puranas, it is very important that we know the science of interpretation. It is Mimamsa. Until unless a person is well versed in the Mimamsa Nyayas and the Tarka, he will not be in a position to come to a correct conclusion about the statements of the Purana or the so-called diverse statements sometimes which appears mutually contradictory. So this mutual contradiction can be explained only by applying the Nyaya which are found in the Mimamsa. So before coming to a conclusion, we should know how to interpret these. So in spite of the fact that there are some Vakyas wherein we find the Nindana for the Tantrika Prakriya found in certain Puranas, by applying the proper yukti, logic of the Mimamsa, conclusion to be drawn is that those statements are not general statements abhorring the Tantra. Those statements are specific to specific usages in certain Tantras. We should remember there are many streams of Tantra, at least 5 srotas, 5 streams that we know of, each of the stream emanating from one face of Lord Sadashiva. And in these, there are certain Tantras, which are Dvaita Tantras. There are certain Tantras which are Dvaita Advaita, or Bheda Bheda Tantra. And there are certain Tantras which are Advaita Tantra, which we call as Bhairavaagamas. They belong to the Urdhva Srotas. So, the statements that we find in the Puranas, where the Nindana is done, is only for the certain tenets of the Dvaita Tantra, especially of the Kapalika, and Prayogas, which are Shatkarma Prayogas, meant for or done with an intent of harming others. So, to take those statements to apply to the entire gamut of Tantric literature or the Tantra as a marga itself will be a mistake. So, Tantras are specific for specific usage for specific people. It is not meant for everyone. Because remember, just like the Pramanya of the Veda is because of it being, there are 2 opinions. One is that it is Apaurusheya, and there is another school of thought belonging to the Nayayikas, which hold that the Vedas are Paurusheya. Ishwaroktatva sarvameva pramana. The Vedas are pramana because they are the words of, or they are the opinion of Parameshwara himself. Whatever. Because of that, the pramanya of the Veda is accepted. Similarly, the tantras are also pramanas because all the tantras have been brought down to the earth through the mouth of Lord Paramaśiva himself. And there is a question which is raised. Mrishavadi katham Shivaha. If the tantras are the words of Lord Shiva himself, then to accuse tantra of being Veda Viruddha is absurd because Parashiva could never utter lie. Mrishavadi is one who speaks lie. Katham Shivaha Mrishavadi? It's a question. So, if you say the tantras are not pramana, then it would mean that Parameshwara himself is not an apta. Okay, and that is a stand which is completely unacceptable. Therefore, because of tantras being Ishwaroktatva, being spoken by Lord Shiva himself, they are pramana, just as the Vedas are pramana. Now coming to the adhikari, who is eligible for the tantra marga. We say not everyone is eligible to engage himself in the tantriki prakriya. There is a cycle which a jiva has to go through before he can end up in this particular path. What is the cycle? First is it is called as a bhumika or sopana. The first bhumika or the prathama sopana is he studies the Vedas. Okay. Once he studies the Vedas, and how does he study the Vedas? Because of he being a Trivarnika, he undergoes Upanayana, and after the Upanayana, he enters into the first sopana or the first bhumika, first stage. There he does the swadhyaya. He studies the Vedas. Okay. It cannot stop there. After that, it emphasizes, the Shastras emphasize that you have to know the meaning of the Vedas that you have studied. Thanurayam bharaharaha kila abhu. If you do not know the meaning, then you are like the sthanu, okay, which is just merely carrying the weight, not knowing the value of what is kept on it. Sthanu is basically a pillar. So in the olden days, when people used to travel from one village to other, there would be on the roadsides some stumps or pillars placed wherein they can unburden themselves. And if a person who has merely studied the Vedas and not understood its purport, he would be like a sthanu who does not know the value of what he is holding. So, to overcome this, the sadhaka has to understand the purport of the Veda. So, for that, he engages himself in the study of the Shastra. Okay, Vyākarana, Nirukta, Mīmāṃsādi Shastra. After studying the Shastra, he understands the purport and the value of the statements of the Veda. Yo arthajñah iti sakalam bhadramashnute. Only a person who knows the meaning, sakalam bhadramashnute, he alone should be entitled for all the benefits of the text. Okay. Now this is the Dvitiya Sopana or Dvitiya Bhumika. Knowing the meaning and purport of the Veda. But the Vedas are not something that is merely to be studied and known. Na jnanamatrena kritarthatam iyat. That is another verse. It is not sufficient that you merely know. You have to practice. So he has to engage himself in the Shrauta karma. Swasva Varnashrama Uchita Shrauta karma. So if you are in a Grihastha ashrama belonging to a particular Varna, then whatever is enjoined for you, you have to perform. So he performs the karma which is enjoined by the Vedas. So he keeps performing the karmas. It may be in many births that he might be engaged in the karma. After the performance of karma over a period of birth, now this is called as Anushtana Bhumika. Okay, he performs the karma Anushtana. So in the Anushtana Bhumika, over several births, having performed the karma, then there is a Chitta Shuddhi that takes place. Okay, he understands that the karma is not going to give him the ultimate happiness or the ultimate Purushartha, which is moksha. What is moksha? Atyantikam sukham moksha. The bliss that is untainted and the bliss which is not dependent upon any condition is moksha. Now in the karma anushtana, and as long as you perform karma, it produces a result which is an apurva. The apurva will generate certain sukha, okay, and you will enjoy that sukha till you have your share of the apurva. Once it is exhausted, you will once again be pushed back to the karma bhumi for karma anushtana. So only when a person overcomes or he understands that he has been through many such cycles of performing the karma, he would understand that he has to rise above the karma anushtana. See, we are all talking here about not merely intellectual understanding. Okay, we have to clearly distinguish between the bauddhika, which is intellectual understanding, and realization. We are all talking about the sadhakas who have realized the futility of merely performing karma. But again, the karma anushtana serves its purpose because it will definitely give chitta shuddhi. No, it helps us in cleansing our vasana. Without the cleansing of vasana, a person cannot aim or aspire to climb on to the successive bhumikas. So after the Anushtana Bhumika, in over several births, he reaches a stage, okay, which is of Chitta Shuddhi, wherein he is not extremely attached to anything, nor is he completely detached from everything. Na atyantam asaktaha, na atyantam anasaktaha. Okay, that is how it is defined, that stage. Now, from here on, in Varaha Purana and in Yoga Vasishtha, it describes sapta jnana bhumikas, 7 stages of a jnani. Okay, starts with vividisha, then vicharana, tanumanasa, tattvapattihi, asamsaktihi, padartha bhavini, surya. These are the 7 jnana bhumikas. Yoga Vasishtha says avabodham vidurjnanam sadidam sapta bhumika. So you have to understand that after the chitta shuddhi, there are 7 stages. And only by passing through these stages in succession, one attains the true state of Atmajnana or liberation. So the first one is Vividisha. Vividisha is to know or desire to know the true path or the true way to realize the Atyantika Sukha. Okay, how do I reach, or how do I find the Atma Jnana? So that desire, that is called as Vividisha. Then comes the second stage or the second bhumika called Vicharana. Vicharana is to investigate. This investigation happens due to satsanga. So he is in the company of enlightened people. Please understand that when we say satsanga, it is composed of two words, sat, sanga. Generally, the word satsanga is understood to be no company uh, of uh, of devotees, like-minded people who are engaged in sadhana. But in the Shastra, when the word satsanga is used, the word sat refers to jnani, one who has realized the Brahma, which is defined as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So satsanga is actually company of enlightened people. So he gets, in the Vicharana Bhumika, he gets to engage himself with Jnani, Sadgurus. And because of that, he understands, the need to self-introspect. So that will lead him to the third bhumika, is Tanumanasa. Tanumanasa is the mind which is pure and attuned. The mind, the manas, is pure and attuned to the truth. So the mind is always or constantly thinking about the Sadvastu. It is not, even though it engages itself in the routine activity, but the mind is fixated on knowing the Sadvastu. And that comes because of the association of the Sajjanas or the Sadgurus. So the third bhumika is Tanuman. Fourth bhumika is called as Sattvapattihi. Sattvapattihi is realization of the path that leads to the truth. Realizing that this path should lead me to the truth is Sattvapatti. The fifth stage is called as Asamsaktihi. Neither too much of attachment nor too much of detachment. This is called as Bhaktihi. So the fifth stage is called as Bhakti. Animitta Bhagavati Bhaktihi Siddhehe Gariyati. That is what is said in the Bhagavata. So bhakti is that where you are having neither too much of attachment nor are you having any detachment, and this bhakti, will, the attachment is to the Ishtadevata, the detachment is towards the word. So bhakti is the fifth stage or the fifth bhumika. Once you are in the bhakti bhumika, it will lead to the next, which is called as Padartha Bhavini. Kind of a Savikalpa Samadhi stage. And the last or Saptama Bhumika, which is Surya, which is the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Now you might think, why am I giving you all this information about the Sapta Jnana Bhumikas in the introduction of Parashurama Kalpa? The fifth stage, which is the Asamsakti stage or the Jnana Bhumika, the fifth Jnana Bhumika being Asamsakti, is the Bhakti, which is one of the most important qualification for a person to get Diksha. Without reaching the Asamsakti stage, you are not qualified to get the Diksha. So, who is entitled to enter into the sadhana? You have to start with the adhyayana, then arthajnana, then anusthana bhumika, then chitta shuddhi, then go to vividisha, vicharana, tanumanasa, tattvapatti, asamsakti. Only when you reach here, you are eligible for Diksha. Purva purva bhumika arudasya eva uttara uttara bhumikaya adhikaraha. Only a person who has crossed the previous bhumikas or one who has perfected the previous bhumika is eligible to enter into the next bhumika. So now you can understand who is qualified to become sadhaka, who is qualified to get Diksha. So one should not aspire to get Diksha just because we see people around us getting Diksha. Otherwise, what will happen is you will enter into certain practices and you find yourself completely unqualified for that. So you are neither here nor are you in the world. So this is something that we are really seeing this happening now. So you have to be aware. So you have to make a very, very intelligent choice before you take a decision to enter into the upasana mark. Now, bhakti also is subdivided into two stages, Gauni Bhakti and Parabhakti. See, all these Bhaskaraya in his initial commentary on Nitya Shodashikarnava, he gives. Says Gauni Bhakti. What is Gauni Bhakti? So, Guna means secondary. Okay. So, secondary Bhakti is once again has three types. Okay, or three stages once again. One is bhavana. Okay, in that bhavana siddhi, you assume mentally, okay, about your upasya devata, and you practice the upasana of the upasya devata. This is called as bhavana siddhi. After that, it is called as vihita upasti. The second stage is called as vihita upasti. Whatever your guru gives you as a direction, you perform that upasana. Okay. The third is called as Ishwaropasti. Knowing fully well that Ishvara, Guru, Atma, Mantra are one and the same. You engage in the upasana. So this is the third stage. So we are all talking about the Gauni Bhakti. In the first stage, it is Bhavana. Let us say, for example, you are given a Ganapati mantra. So the Guru says, okay, you have to do the Bhavana of Ganapati in so and so manner, as per the Dhyana Shloka. Okay, and he teaches you how to visualize the Devata as given in the Dhyana Shloka. Okay, so Bijapura. What is Bijapura? How do you relate Bijapura to your Ganapati mantra? Okay, Gada. How do you relate the Gada with your to which Bijakshara of your Ganapati mantra? So all these the Guru teaches. So knowing this, the Shishya first performs. The second, like I said, Vihita Upasti, Guru says, okay, you have to perform the Chaturavarti Tarpana for 444 times. You have to perform the Chaturavarti Tarpana for 48 days continuously. So something like Vihita, what is enjoined to be performed, you perform the Upasti. After you do that, then you reach a stage wherein you understand that the Guru, Devata, the Mantra, and your own self are one and the same, and using this Chaturvida Aikya Sandhana, you perform the upasana. Once you have performed or perfected this particular stage of Gauni Bhakti, you reach the Parabhakti stage. So this Gauni Bhakti belongs to the Bahiryaga and Para Bhakti belongs to the Antaryaga. Okay. So in Bahiryaga, okay, we have already seen the 3 stages. It is also classed as Kevala, okay, Yamala, Mishra, Chatushka. So these are some of the technicalities. We will see more when we go into the Sutra per se. So once you have performed and perfected whatever the Guru has enjoined in the Gaudi Bhakti stage, you become eligible for the Para Bhakti stage. So only a person who is thus qualified can enter into the upasana marga. So without having any of these qualifications, I'm saying the mental qualifications, you are not eligible for the upasana. And the entry level or your eligibility apart from this for upasana is Diksha. So Parashurama is going to teach us, okay, what are the salient features of Diksha. And after he gives us the salient features of the Diksha, he is going to tell us about the various Bahiryaga and Antaryaga. So that is why he starts with the work with the sutra Athātaḥ, Dīkṣāṃ, Vyākhyāsyāmaḥ. Then comes the next sutra. Bhagavān Paramaśiva Bhaṭṭārakaḥ Shrutyādi Ashtādasha Vidyāः Sarvāni Darshanāni līlaya tad avasthapannaha praniya संविन्मय्या भगवत्या भैरव्या स्वात्म अभिन्नया पृष्टः पंचभिः मुखैः पंच आम्नायान् परमार्थसारभूतान् प्रणिनाय. So this particular sutra, Parashurama says or speaks about the importance of the Moola Granthas on which this Upasana Paddhati is based. He says, Bhagavān Paramaśiva Bhaṭṭārakaḥ. See, this Bhaṭṭāraka Shabda is a very peculiar terminology used in the Upasana. The Tantragama literature, Bhaṭṭāraka Shabda is used to denote anyone who is worshipable. Okay, anyone who has to be given the highest respect. So, Paramaśiva Bhaṭṭārakaḥ. Paramashiva, who is Bhaṭṭāraka, one who is worthy of all our adoration. Bhagavān, he is endowed with the sixfold Aishwaryas. Aishwaryasya, Samagrasya, Dharmasya, Yashashaha, Shriyaha, Jnana, Vairāgyośaiva, Shannām, Bhaga iti smritaha. These 6 qualities are called as Bhaga. What is it? Aishwarya, okay, Dharma, Yashas, Shrihi, Jnana, Vairagya. Anyone who is endowed with this in its fullest measure is to be addressed as Bhagavān. That is why we address our Shri Guru as Bhagavān, because he is the font house of Aishwarya. What is Aishwarya? Aishwarya is Vibhuti. Anything that is great is Aishwarya. Anything that is best is Aishwarya. That is why the Bhagavad Gita chapter itself is called as Vibhuti Yoga, in which he describes he is the best in the class. So when he says Marganam, Margashir, Uchchai Sharvatam, okay, Ashwanam. So I am Margashir Shamasa amongst the months. I am Uchchai Shravas amongst the horses. It is the best sample. Okay, so the entire chapter is called as Vibhuti Yoga. So Vibhuti or Aishwarya means the best. So Shri Guru or Paramashiva is the font of anything and everything that is best available in the universe. Aishwarya. Dharma. Dharyate iti dharma. That which bears, that which holds everything together. So that law, the system that holds everything is called as dharma. Okay. So he is once again the personification of dharma. Yashaha, fame. Shrihi, prosperity or auspiciousness. Jnana, knowledge. Vairagya, detachment. Because of perfection in these qualities, a person is addressed by the term Bhagavān. So Bhagavān, Paramaśiva, Bhaṭṭārakaḥ. See, the reason is that why is it that let us say the Tantras or the Vedas, we accept the Paushrayatva, are considered to be infallible source of knowledge? And why not the text written by human beings? The reason is very simple. If it is Purusha Kartrika, written by humans, our knowledge is not perfect. We suffer from certain imperfections. So, whatever we compose, our book will also reflect those imperfections. That is why we find that when we have certain expositions, commentaries, there is a counterpoint offered. Not because the Siddhanta is not perfect, but because it is Purusha Kartrika, there is always a possibility that someone from a counterpoint can raise an objection. Yes, you may give an answer to it and there will be an objection to it. So it just goes on. When we take up the Darshana literature, the polemics are endless. So anything which is Purusha Kartrika suffers from imperfect knowledge. Whereas Bhagavan is Yas Sarvajñas Sarvavit. He knows everything. Okay. He is the knower of all. He is the font of all knowledge. Therefore, his the work which is written or composed by him does not suffer from any imperfection. Therefore, Bhagavan Paramaśiva Bhaṭṭārakaḥ. First, he composed the Shrutyādi Ashtādasha Vidyaha. He gave the Ashtādasha Vidyasthana. Okay? The Ashtādasha Vidyasthanas are the 4 Vedas. Yajna, Sama, Sarva. Okay? Then the Shadanga. Shiksha, Vyākaranam, Kalpa, Chanda, Jyotiṣam, Niruktam. Then he gave Mīmāmsa, Nyaya, Puranam, Dharma Shastram. 14. Then Upaveda, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva, Niti Veda. So totally 18. So these are collectively called as Ashtādasha Vidyasthana. So Bhagavan first composed these or first gave these 18 Vidyasthanas. Sarvāni Darshanāni. He didn't stop with that. He also gave systems of philosophy. Okay? In our puja, we have these 6 darshanas. Vaidika darshana, Shakta darshana, Shaiva darshana, Vaishnava darshana, Bauddha darshana. Okay? So, these darshanas, Sarvāni darshana, all these he composed līlā, sportively. In the sense, there are 2 ways of interpreting the word līlā. One, he didn't have to really strain to even write. For us to write a page of any document, we will have to think and we will have to really squeeze our mind. But for him, it just happened spontaneous. So, līlā patiya. Second is, there was no prayojana per se for Shiva to compose any of these. For him, it did not serve any of his purpose. He did so because he wanted to guide the sadhakas or the jiva kotis in the world in the right direction. The reason we require a text from Paramaśiva to speak on dharma is because anything or any matters pertaining to dharma is beyond the scope of our pratyakshadi pramanas. You cannot know about dharma, you cannot know about moksha and all those things by your worldly knowledge. By your worldly knowledge, you can understand the various physical aspects about the universe, but not about dharma. So to guide about dharma, you need Paramashiva's intervention. So his purpose for composing this was only for the benefit of the sadhaka. So līlā, not for himself, but for others. Tat avasthapannaha praniya. Some he composed himself. Some he assumed certain forms and he composed. For example, he assumed the form of Bhagavān Bhaṭṭārakaḥ and he composed the Brahma Sutra. He assumed the form of Bhagavān Jaimini and he composed the Mīmāṃsa Shastra. Like this. So we all have to understand that the Shastrakaras were manifestations of Lord himself. So tat avastha apannaha. That is why in during the Diksha, when Guru gives the Samanya Dharma Upadesha to the Shishya, there is one very important thing. Adarshanam, Anya Darshananam Prati. Okay. I don't recollect it. The thing is that you should not show disrespect towards other darshanas. That is, you should not show disrespect towards opinion contrary to the Siddhanta which is established in the Tantra. The reason is that each has been composed by his own manifestation for a different purpose. So it is responsible for taking care of certain requirements for certain kind of jivas. Okay? So, tat avasthapannaha praniya. Then finally, to help us understand the easiest and the best way to moksha, samvinmaya bhagavatya bhairavya swatma bhinnaya prishtaha. Bhagavati Bhairavi, his own Vimarsha Shakti. He is the Prakasha Shakti and Bhairavi is Vimarsha Shakti. So they are nothing but the same. They are not different from each other. Swatma Abhinnaya. Bhairavi, who is not different from himself. Swatma Abhinnaya Bhagavatya Bhairavya. Bhagavati Bhairavi. And she is of the nature of pure consciousness. Samvinmaya Bhagavatya Bhairavya Swatma Bhinnaya Prishtaha. She asks him certain questions for which he replies. That is why in most of the tantras you will find a particular justification or a statement. Guru Sishya Pade Sthitva Savayameva Sadashivaha Prashnottara Parairvakyam Tantram Samavatarayatu. Guru is Bhairava. Sishyasthana is occupied by Bhairavi. Guru Sishya Pade Sthitva Svayameva Sadashiva. It is same Ishvara or it is same Parashiva who has assumed the form of Bhairava, Parabhairava and Parabhed. Svayameva Guru Sishya Pade Sthitva Prashnottara Paraihi Vakyaihi Tantram Samavatarayatu. In the form of question and answer, he brought down the tantras for the benefit of the world. So, Bhagavatya Bhairavya Swatma Bhinnaya Prishtaha. She is asking on our behalf. Panchabihi Mukhaihi. From his 5 faces. Pancha Amnayan. Paschima, Purva, Uttara, Dakshina, Urdhva. Pancha Amnayan. He brought he brings out the 5 Amnaya system, or the tantras which belongs to the each and every phase. Okay, Pancha Amnaya. All these are Paramartha Sarabhutan. They are essence of Parama Artha, of supreme truth. So all the tantras speak about the path to moksha, Parama Purushartha. So Paramartha Sarabhutan Pancha Amnayan Praninaya. He composed these texts for our benefit. So Bhagavan Parashurama makes it very clear that whatever is the Tantra Siddhanta is Pramanika. It is Pramanika because these tantras are Ishvara Uktatvat Pramanam. Because they have been said by Paramaśiva himself, they are Pramanas. And this Kalpa Sutra is nothing but an composition which collects the different information from the relevant tantras in a methodical manner for our upasana. So it's something like a lab manual. Okay, you need a lab manual to perform certain experiment. What we read in theory, we might not directly be in a position to put it into application. So this Kalpa Sutra is based on the Pramanika Grantha, which are the Tantragama literature, which is the composition of Paramashiva Bhaṭṭārakaḥ, and the highest essence of the truth, that is Moksha Marga, is given in these Tantragama literature.